All right, so our goal is to make something that looks like this. I'm going to start from scratch, but just to show you sort of where we're going. This character is moving through a particular landscape. Some stuff is in front and on top. Some stuff is behind the character, but it is a perfect loop. That background has gone through one full cycle already. And this involves a couple of techniques, using some expressions for looping and using the effects like offset to be able to have your background continuously be on a loop. And when you are, and that's because I went to the very end here, but we can adjust for that as well. Is for also using the interpret footage section to loop your frames over and over again. So to start out, I'm going to go to File, and New Project, and I'm going to import my assets first. So I'm going to double click, and I can either double click inside my project window or go to File and Import, double click, and I'm going to grab my background, and I want to import it as footage. I'm going to double click, go into my assets that I saved, which is in my export frames. And I want to make sure PNG sequence is selected, otherwise it's not going to create all of my assets. And I don't want create composition selected. And this isn't going to get both of these files, it's just going to get 0001 through 32 here. And I say import, and we'll see this symbol that pops up. This means it is a image sequence. And then I do that again with my other asset, which is this plant, and I say import. And if we look at these, this is showing me that this is only 2 seconds long, it's 1 second long, and it's a frame rate of 30. And so I need to go in and adjust these so that they will actually continually loop. And the way that you do that is you right click on the layer inside the project window, or on the object inside the project window, interpret footage, and main. And this is going to bring us to a window where we can adjust the loop and the frame rate of your animation. So I want to change this to 24 because that's what I was working within. And then I'm just going to set this to like 30. So it's going to loop this animation 30 times. And same thing with this, right click, interpret footage in main. And I'm going to change this to 24, and let's loop this 30 times. So now when I double click on it, we'll see it in this temporary layer. This is not a composition, this is just a layer. We'll see this is sort of walking through and going. And when we look at this one is just waving back and forth. And I added the ping pong in Toon Boom. I didn't do it here in After Effects. There is a way, but I'm holding off on showing that for right now. So once you have your layers, the first thing I'm going to do is set up my background. And the way that I do that is by clicking and dragging it into this composition. And it's going to create a composition that's the exact same size as our background. And right now it's set to 3 minutes. If you want to change the length of this, you can right click and say sequence settings or composition settings. A composition is just basically a container that holds your video, and you can always reset this. And if you do 60 and dot, that's going to change it to 1 minute because 60 seconds, or 5 dot for 5 seconds. So I'm going to set this to 60 dot and say OK. And inside here, this is going to be our background. So if I want things happening behind, I'm going to take my plant, drag it down here, and right now it's set to be really big, but you'll see it's looping for as long as I need, which is great. Telling it to loop 30 times worked pretty well. I'm going to shrink it down, put it over here, put it maybe in front of this tree. I might duplicate it using Command D and bringing it over, Command D, maybe make this one a little bit smaller, Command D, and Command D, and I'll make this one a little bit bigger right here. Now, if I ever want to change the color of these, something really quickly I can do is just go to Fill in my effect, drop it on, and it's going to cover it with an entire layer. And I could change this to white. I'm just going to do that for all these guys. So I kind of like the look of that better. And I might turn down the opacity. I can press T to go to opacity and just turn these down just slightly. And so now this is my background. Looks pretty nice. I could always offset these a little bit so that they don't go at exactly the same rate. So now we've got them moving just slightly differently. Adds a little bit more texture and tension to the scene. In the next video, I'm going to go over how to set up your walk cycle with this.